Rome didn't just conquer nations. It perfected cruelty as entertainment. Behind marble statues and golden banquets, the elite practiced things so cold, so calculated, they'd sound like fiction, if they weren't written into history. And the most terrifying part? They called it normal. This isn't the Rome of textbooks. This is the Rome of private dining rooms, whispered orders, and lives erased with a smile. Tonight, we follow one powerful man through the empire's darkest customs, 17 horrific practices the Roman elite used to control, punish, and indulge. The main character is Gaius Julius Caesar. Not the statue. Not the Latin quote. The living force who learned how Rome truly worked, how power wasn't just held in public, but enforced in private. Caesar was born into a famous name that didn't automatically guarantee safety. In Rome, lineage was a shield, but it was also a target. The elite didn't simply compete. They hunted. Reputation could be built in a day and destroyed before dinner. A careless joke, a failed alliance, a wrong friend, any of it could end with exile, property seized, or a knife in a corridor. Caesar learned early that Rome had two faces. One face wore law and tradition like armor. The other face made rules flexible, especially for the rich. The Roman elite controlled courts, votes, armies, and religion. They controlled who was respectable, who was dangerous, who deserved mercy, and who deserved humiliation. Their world was built on hierarchy. At the top, men with family names that echoed through centuries. Beneath them, clients who depended on favors. Beneath them, the poor who lived one bad season away from starvation. And beneath all of it, slaves. Millions of them. People turned into property. Breathing tools. And because that system had to stay unquestioned, cruelty became a language. Not always loud. Often quiet. A withdrawn invitation. A blocked marriage. A rumor planted like poison. A legal charge invented to ruin a rival. Caesar rose inside that machine. He dazzled crowds. He paid debts with other people's loyalty. He learned how to make the city feel hungry for him. Rome loved spectacle, triumphs, games, public dramas, and Caesar understood that politics was theater with real blood behind the curtains. History remembers him because he broke the balance. For centuries, Rome was a republic in name and in ritual, elections, senators, debates. But beneath that performance, the elite kept power circulating among themselves. Caesar didn't accept circulation. He wanted direction. One will. One center. His victories in Gaul made him a legend, and legends terrify the people who wrote the rules. With an army loyal to him personally, he became something the Republic had no safe way to contain. And as his power grew, the darker practices of the elite didn't fade. They sharpened. Because when the elite feel threatened, they don't become moral. They become efficient. This is where we expose the hidden Rome. 17 horrific practices that weren't rare accidents, but tools of control. Some were public, designed to warn. Some were private, designed to satisfy. Many were disguised as tradition. And Caesar, brilliant, adored, feared, walked through all of it. Sometimes resisting. Sometimes using it. Sometimes becoming it. Because in Rome, power didn't just corrupt. It instructed. And the city had been teaching cruelty for a long time. Caesar climbs by giving Rome what it craves. Not peace. Not truth. A story. He returns from campaigns with victories big enough to make ordinary citizens feel tall. He speaks like the Republic belongs to the people, while the elite whisper that he's buying love with promises and stolen glory. He spends lavishly. He collects allies. He collects debts. Then he collects the one thing that matters in Rome, loyalty that doesn't flinch. When he crosses the Rubicon, it's not just a military move. It's a message. The rules only work when everyone agrees to obey them. Caesar doesn't. And suddenly, senators who once laughed at him stop laughing. They start counting doors. Guarding their sleep. Watching their closest friends. Because Rome can forgive ambition. But it cannot forgive a man who might win. The elite call him a tyrant. Not because they love freedom. Because they fear losing control. Inside marble halls, conspiracies grow like mold. In public, they applaud him. In private, they rehearse the future without him. Rome's most refined weapons appear. Rumors. Legal traps. Bribed testimonies. Patriotic speeches that are really threats. Caesar senses it. He pardons enemies to look merciful, yet each pardon becomes another blade in the room. Men who owe him their lives begin to hate the debt. And then the turning point arrives in the form of a calendar date that doesn't care about loyalty. The Ides of March. A day where tradition masks intent. where senators gather as if for routine business. And Caesar steps into a building full of men who have already decided he will not walk out. There is no dramatic arrest. No public trial. No heroic last stand with banners. Just a sudden shift in the air. Caesar sits among the senators, his equals on paper, his enemies in reality. Petitions are presented. Faces lean in with practiced calm. The room closes around him like a silent tide. Then it happens. A touch that isn't respectful. A movement that isn't ceremonial. He realizes too late, this is not politics. This is removal. In Rome, the elite don't always destroy you with armies. They destroy you with proximity. The humiliation is not only the violence, it's the betrayal itself. Familiar eyes. Familiar voices. Men who shared meals with him, who called him friend, now proving their loyalty to the Republic by proving his body is breakable. And in that moment, the myth of Caesar becomes something else. A warning. They don't call it execution. They call it salvation. Steel flashes. Hands that once clapped for him now strike. It is fast, chaotic, and terrifyingly intimate. Not a battlefield death. A crowded murder carried out by men in fine clothing. Caesar falls where power is supposed to be civilized. And the city holds its breath, because the elite believe they've restored order. But Rome is not cleaned by blood. It's stained by it. Outside, the news spreads through streets like fire through dry reeds. Citizens don't feel freed. They feel exposed. If Caesar can be cut down in the heart of government, then no one is safe. Not senators. Not generals. Not the families who thought their names were immortal. The elite thought they killed a threat. Instead, they killed the illusion that tradition could protect anyone from the hunger for power. Now, the 17 horrific practices come into focus, because they weren't random horrors. They were the scaffolding holding Rome up. Slavery as luxury. Human lives traded as status. Public executions as instruction. Gladiatorial death as a dinner conversation. Political prosecutions as entertainment. Exile used like a switchblade. Forced divorces for alliances. Children married off as currency. Poison as a practical solution. Informants rewarded for betrayal. Body shaming as political warfare. Sexual coercion protected by rank. Property seizure dressed as justice. Debt traps that ruin generations. Mobs hired like hired knives. Assassination framed as virtue. History rewritten by the winners. Rome didn't fall into darkness. It built it, stone by stone. So here's the question that should haunt you. If an empire can normalize cruelty so completely, what are we calling normal right now without even noticing?